Well, hello. Good morning. Good morning out there in the world. It's the 27th of March. It's Wednesday. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning here in the Eastern time zone. It's a chilly morning, and I'm just really excited to continue on with the week that we've had so far. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take a look at Bitcoin. I want to take a look at Ethereum. I want to take a look at the S&P 500 as per usual. And what I'd really like to do is take a look at just a couple alts. I still need to prep for the day, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going into a lot of different alts, but I would like to take a look at a couple of them because, there's been some really good moves here in the last few days. So before I get into all of this, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You are responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and as always, this is just my opinion on the market. So let's go ahead and move on into the chart. I'm going to take a look here at Bitcoin. So the view here really has not changed. So what we're looking at basically is a continued impulse likely to move up here to these upper targets. But obviously it does look like we've got a little bit more time ahead of us here, right? So we've got, a little 1, 2, 1, 2, or sorry, a 1, 2, 3, 4 to go up into wave 5, which will go up into wave 3. We hit a time cycle here, right? We did a nice thrust move into this time cycle, and since we hit that time cycle, it's just been kind of sideways movement, not bearish, which this is good, right? What I'd really like to see, right, and I've got this labeled right here, this green box, I'd like to see us move down into this area. Now, what I'll do here is I'll zoom in just a little bit here. I'm going to go to an hourly time frame because I want to point something out, and that is the Wave Master. I've got it circled here. I've got it marked here. There are 2 times where Wavemaster said, hey, you know what? You should probably be buying. And it happened to be, down here at about 63,000 and then down here again at about 61.7. So, these 2 areas right here, Wavemaster was given nice solid buys. And even on this lower low right here, with a higher low on the indicator. So that is your sign for bullish divergence. I'll just go ahead and emphasize this just a little bit here. We've got a higher low there on the green wave. That is bullish divergence. And so, with that, it was time to buy. And I alerted that we should be buying Bitcoin and Ethereum when we were down here in these areas. So obviously that has worked out really well. We had a nice move up. We did see a little bit of a retrace, but I wasn't really too worried about that because when we bought down here, I didn't take a large position. I was tending to layer in, and I still think it's very possible that we do see a little bit of a rejection and we go back down here to these lows. What I'm really looking for, if I go back out to the daily, again, I'm looking for a move down here between between 53 and 60. That would be ideal. Probably if it does come down here, it's going to come down here probably the 236 or the 382 extension. That would be logical. If you take a look at the daily wave, though, the daily wave was also, pretty much, reset in a way that I think that it was a good place to be biting, and obviously that worked out really well for us. So we're waiting to see what happens next. I think it's possible that that we do get another low here. What that would set us up for is if this is an A, we get the B here, and then we go down for the wave C. That would be ideal in terms of what a correction would look like. But really, we've already seen a 3-wave correction. If I go down to a lower time frame, go down to a 2-hour, you can see it right here, from all the way up here. We've got this A, we've got the B, and then we've got the C right here. And this one right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going down to this C right here. So technically, we do have evidence that a correction has completed, but I'm still not going to discount the fact that we could see another move down here. And again, we have the halving that is coming in less than a month, roughly April 20th. So we're getting there. We're getting there. And our next time cycle is going to be here around April 20th. So if we don't see prices go below $52,000, chances are pretty good that we could see, the price go up to about 150. Maybe not by September, It's possible that this comes here at the time cycle after that, which is really April. So this wave 3 might actually extend out as far as time goes. We don't really know when the move is going to happen, but I'm expecting there to be a significant amount of resistance at $100,000 if we get there. And it's a big if, because nobody really knows for sure. Nobody has a crystal ball. All we can do is take the high probability trades. But but one way or another, we've got 5 waves that are in the making from my estimation, and depending on what your bias is, you could count this a number of different ways. But one way or another, I'm not looking at this as an A, B, C anymore. I'm looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, and the 3 is still in the works. There were a lot of people that were very bearish on this entire move up here because they said, okay, A, B, C. So right here at $50,000, that's going to be your 100% extension, at least your trend-based fib extension. That's going to be where things are going to stop, and the price obviously just kept on going. So this is looking pretty good. If I compare Bitcoin to altcoins, I've got another chart here that I want to show you. And this is the percent change from comparing Bitcoin to total 3, right? So this is all of the altcoins, and you would take out Bitcoin, you would take out Ethereum. So Bitcoin, since the beginning of 2023, right? So this is basically January 1st, roughly 2023. So for about the last 15, 16 months, right, Bitcoin has gone up 323%. Total 3 has only gone up 158%. Now, if you look at the rate of change for Bitcoin and altcoins in bull runs, altcoins will outperform Bitcoin, generally speaking. And that hasn't happened yet. I'm going to talk about altcoins a little bit at the end, maybe not about any specific altcoin, but I will be talking about alts in general and what I think is very possible to happen there. So going back here, let's also take a look at our good friend Ethereum. All right, so let me go ahead and reset this. So we'll go to Ethereum. So we've had a good channel on this guy. This is not the one. So must be Bitstamp. Here we go. This channel is what I want to focus on here. So what we've seen basically here is Ethereum found support at this 382, which is from the lows to the highs, right? We get the pullback to the 382, and so far, at least in my estimation, again, I see a 1, 2, 3 going down here for the 4. Very, very possible that on or around the halving, we do see Ethereum come back down to about 3,000, right? What I'd really like to see is at some point see this guy come back down here. That would be near the halving, right? See it come back down here. I'll buy more. And then we see another, thrust move up. And if we were talking about September, right? We were talking about the time cycles and how September had a time cycle. So I'm just going to roughly mark September 11th, which is probably not great, but I'll just go ahead and put it on there. So, if we do see, I'm going to move this on over to the side. I put some notes here, which are kind of important. This level here at 51.54, if you move it straight on over, that hits the top of this channel, basically right at that September time frame. So if we do continue to just grind up, right there hits that target. But if we do see a really bullish move on Ethereum, we could be seeing a move all the way up here to these targets up here, which they're here, right? The fib targets are here. Algos are going to want to get the price up here to this area as long as sellers are willing to wait. So this would take us up here to about $9,200 to $9,500. When would that happen? Again, nobody knows. Nobody knows if it is going to happen, right? So this is what the next target would be. If we're able to get above this channel and into the channel expansion, we do talk about channel expansions quite a bit because geometry is one of those things that I pay very close attention to. And I think at this point what we can say is we've got a really important areas of support, really important areas of resistance. And it is in an ascending fashion. So that means that we are in a channel that is moving upwards and we're not just ranging sideways. So if we can get above this rail, then it's very likely that we're going to see a move that could go up here to this area right here, which would take us again up to about $10,000. And again, if we happen to see a nice thrust move up into September, well, that takes us up to almost $11,000. And again, that would be after ideally a nice correction down here to that $3,000 mark. Now, where did we buy Ethereum? Well, I was telling a lot of people to buy down here. And why was I telling people to buy down here? I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but really it is as easy as this. Look at this. Hey, Daily Wave Master says buy Ethereum. What ended up happening? Well, the price went up a significant amount. That was basically down here at the bottom. Right here, Wave Master said buy Ethereum. That was basically right here. And what happened? We had a nice move up. Down here, the daily said to buy Ethereum. Yes, it also said to buy Ethereum back here, which basically equates to, let me just put this right here, that price and this price. So you can see that the Daily Wave Master has been spot on this entire time. Every time that daily wave resets down here, again, look at this, just the daily wave, not paying any attention to the yellow or the red or the white wave, just the daily wave right here. What happened? That was right here at the bottom. And then right here, here's another decent example, right? That was also a nice area to accumulate. So when you see this get down here to these lower levels, what does that actually, turn out to be? It turns out to be a decent place to be looking to buy. You can also go back into the past. This area right here, this area right here, these are all areas where we've got areas to buy. And this is just using the green wave, right? And it's not always right, but if you can get a good buy signal where you've got all three down there. Now the white wave is important, but the green, the yellow, and the red wave are the most important when you're using the Wave Master. That is and has been the best indicator to be accumulating or purchasing or whatever it might be. Our latest one, is at 1600, and then we sold on the way up, and now that we've started to see that pullback, we bought back, and I don't remember the exact price it was, but it was below 3300. It was about 32 something, and now we're up here at like 3600. I do think, again, very possible we're going to see price action come down here to about 3. From there, I think we're going to see a nice thrust to the upside. And again, I could be wrong. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. It's all based on probability, and probability would suggest that we are going to be seeing a nice upward move in the coming weeks, even if we do get another pullback to complete a correction. That would take us down to about 3,000. So what about the S&P 500? What is the S&P 500 doing? Well, the S&P 500, I still believe, is in an area or a zone where we're going to start to see a little bit of a correction, right? We saw a bearish engulfing candle yesterday. I'm not going to get super anxious about it. I'm not really super concerned about it because, again, whatever pullback we get, in my opinion, is going to be a viable pullback. Again, we're taking a look here, April 12th, which is our projected pivot point. We've got a pivot point here where we saw a move up, a pivot point here where we saw a move up, and now we're getting to another pivot point, which is going to be on April, and that may be when we see the pullback, right? We could just continue to just trend a little bit higher and a little bit higher until we see this move down, right? So this might be delayed, right? We could be seeing something like this. I'm still believing that we're probably going to see a retest of the previous all-time high of 4,800. It's possible that we see a retest of this area right here, which is going to be at about 4,600. It's very possible that that happens, and again, it could be triggered by any event. We are in basically a time in our lives where the government is being completely reckless. They are not being a good custodian of our lives. And it's very, very possible that we're going to see a global government financial crisis. We're not talking about just people. We're not talking about, you know, like little businesses here and there that are going out of business. We're talking about entire governments unable to continue to prop up whatever currency they have and to control inflation. You know, we're eventually going to get to a point where we are at a downward spiral when it comes to our economy, and our government. So again, a panic sell-off could happen at any time. So just be prepared for something like that, because again, we don't know when it'll happen. I still believe that the S&P 500 is probably going to go all the way up here to 6,000, maybe even 6,500, and it could happen sometime in 2025. But the fact of the matter is, you can't ignore the fact that the governments are spending uncontrollably, and that's fine, but that money has to come from somewhere. And if we're just going to print it, then inflation is going to get completely out of control. Completely out of control. And that's my lecture on the economy and printing money and all of that, because yes, the government can print money, but it can only go on for so long before inflation just completely ruins the lives of, not just Americans, but really everybody in the world. It's not going to be good when things do hit the fan. But for the time being, the times are good, right? We're in the roaring 20s again here, and that's not great. It's really not great. I'll take advantage of it while I can. There are bubbles that are being formed. Look at AI, but just watch the news, because this is a very news-driven market, and things are likely to take a shift for the worse at some point. But again, we don't know when that is. It could be 10 years from now. It could be 20 years from now. It could be tomorrow. Really, nobody knows. But the more important thing is that you're educating yourself and you're preparing for what might come. And I'm not saying that you should go completely short on the market. I think that's reckless and ridiculous. But I think that you should be working on, hedges or diversifying. That's why I'm in crypto, right? That's one of my major hedges, and it's been working out really, really great, right? And then speaking of crypto, let's just take a look here at the crypto space. So what I want to do here is I want to take a look at a couple Bitcoin trading pairs. I'm going to start with Cardano. It is no secret that I love Cardano. So let's take a look at Cardano versus Bitcoin. So if I take a look at this, and you can see here that what I'm looking at is a daily buy on Cardano versus Bitcoin. And I believe that Cardano is inside of this big trading wedge, and I do believe it's going to come all the way up here at some point, likely 2025, to about 4,300 sats. Right, this area. If I just continue to pull this over to the right, that's what I'm looking at here. So if this does happen, right, and it's very, very possible from down here, if we see this move up here, that takes us into about April of 2025. Now, what would that mean in terms of what Cardano would look like versus the US dollar? So right now, Cardano is sitting somewhere around 65 cents. Okay, so let me just go ahead and do this, because I think this is a worthwhile exercise. So Cardano right now on 3/27 is at 65 cents, and that is at let's see here, that's at 939 sats. Okay, so now where's Bitcoin? Right, so Bitcoin is also at, let me just see if I can get my number here, try and get as close as possible, but let's just say $70,000. Okay, so we're at $70,000 right now on Bitcoin. So when we get to that time, so when we get to September 2025, so let's, not September, April of 2025. So let's do April 1st, 2025. And where would Cardano be if it's at 4,000, we'll just do 4,000 sats. And let's say Bitcoin is at, let's just say it's right where it's at right now. What would that look like? Well, let's just go ahead and take a look here. So if we do 70,000 times, and we'll do 939 sats, that takes us to 6573. So now let's do that same calculation based on 4,000 sats. 4,000 sats. That's $2.80. And what kind of an increase is that? That's basically, 300%. Yes, that's right. So 300%. If Bitcoin increases in value, and let's say Bitcoin goes to $100,000, right? So Bitcoin goes up to $100,000 from where it's at right now. And I think this is the key that a lot of people are missing, because nobody's paying attention to the Bitcoin charts. Nobody's paying attention to the Bitcoin charts. They're all focused on the USD charts. Nobody's focusing on the Bitcoin charts. And this is where you really have to pay attention, because if Bitcoin goes from $70,000 to $100,000, what kind of an increase is that? That's a $30,000 increase on a $70,000 base. That's less than 50% increase. Okay? So if Bitcoin is only going to go up 45%, but Cardano has the potential to go up 300%, what is the better investment? As long as you've got a good trade setup. But now let's look. Let's see if Bitcoin does go up that 40% or so. So if we look at $100,000, okay, that's going to be at 4,000 sats. That's $4. Okay, that's Bitcoin at $100,000. Bitcoin would have gone up roughly 40 to 45%, from $70,000 to $100,000. But Cardano going from 939 sats to 4,000 sats, well, now we're really talking about, let me just see if I can do the math real quick. About 500%, 600%, 500% roughly. I might have done the math wrong there, right? I'm just trying to do it just really quickly here. But you should be focusing on the Bitcoin charts, because again, this is just an estimation here. This is not a trade that I'm trying to actively engage you in or anything like that. But Cardano does look really, really good down here. If Cardano can get back up here, and especially if it can get through this median that I've got here, right here at about 1900 sats, then I think it opens that door to go up to 4,000. Is it going to go higher than that? I'm not going to bet on that. If we get up there, if Cardano goes to $4, I'm out. I'm completely out of Cardano at that point, because that is, it's an insane target. For where we're at right now, that's an insane target. So if we go to $4, just look at this. If we take a look at this on, let me go to KuCoin, because I don't think I've got anything on, well, I've got a little bit on here. So, looking at this, if it goes to $4, that is well above the prior highs here at $3. And $4, it's just an insane opportunity if we do get prices up in that area. And I do think it's very possible that it gets up there. But if it does, yeah, I'm gonna be out. If we take a look at some others, right? Let's just look and see what can happen. Let's take a look at Ocean versus Bitcoin, because that one just recently did, a really, really good move. But if you take a real good look at it, Ocean really hasn't even broken out. Ocean hasn't broken out, right? It's at a significant area of resistance. It had a really great day today. We took profit today, but it hasn't even really broken out. What is the upside target for this? So I'm going to take my fibs, dominant pivot low to dominant pivot high. We didn't really test that 618, but we're continuing to move up. So let's get our trend-based fib extension tool, which is what I always preach to use, right? Dominant pivot low, dominant pivot high, and let's get our pullback, right? Our pullback is right there, which is based off of that guy right there. What's the 100%? 100% is right there at 32,976, right? 32,976. If we do that same exercise, Bitcoin at $100,000. And we go to 32, we'll just do 33,000. That puts it at $33. Ocean at $33. Is that even possible? Let's take a look at Ocean versus the US dollar right here. What is $33? What would that look like? That would be all the way up here in this area. Now, you can see here where I've got some targets here. I'm looking at like $3.50, $10, $16. I've got nice targets. I've got reasons for having these targets here. Obviously, we hit a first target, right? We actually bought some of that back on this pullback, and we just recently resold that, up here at, I don't remember exactly what the price was. We sold some at $1.65. We're already back down to $1.48. Take advantage of those spikes. One way or another, I think it's very possible that Ocean sees significantly higher prices. So I'm going to be watching for that kind of stuff. But, if you take a look at that Bitcoin chart, realize it really hasn't even broken out yet. But take a look at where Ocean is compared to its highs back here. It's getting real close to it. And if this breaks out, along with the Bitcoin pair breaking out, that is your recipe for a significant move to the upside, because you've got basically a blue sky breakout at that point. And all these Bitcoin trading pairs you need to pay attention to. One of the best performers this year, Near, right? We've been trading Near quite a bit. But look at this. Again, like, it has done really, really good. Near has done really, really well. But again, we look like we've created an inverted head and shoulders here, right? So let's just take a look at this. This area right here, it is basically creating an inverted head and shoulders. That particular zone, let's just look at it. We've got a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder. What is the target for this? And again, we're just looking at the Bitcoin trading pair. And we take the neckline, which I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. I'm going to bring it down here. Our 100% expansion, basically, what's our target? It's going to be right up here. This is our target, right there, at 37,000 sats, right? So what would that look like? Bitcoin at $100,000. 37. Got my decimals right. That's $37. Near at $37. So let's just look at that. What would Near at $37 look like? It's at $7 right now. Obviously, you can see here that, I took profit at about 300% on Near. But if Near goes to $37, that is basically up in this area right here. And this is all assuming that Bitcoin goes to $100,000, which is, that's not necessarily something that is guaranteed to happen. I think it's possible that it goes higher than that, but we'll see how that goes, because I think like 100, 128, 150, those areas are going to be significant areas where we see significant decline. But if we can see Near all the way up here at $37, would you take profit there? That'd be back to the all-time high, go above the all-time high, because we are in a perpetual swap market where you've got tons of people that are also wanting to short this. I've already seen tons of people that are posting, that we're going to go back down to $6,000 on Bitcoin. We're going to go back down to $2,500 on Bitcoin. And while all of that is certainly possible, honestly, the best risk to reward is to get a trade down to about $2,000 to $4,000 from where we're at right now. But what's the probability, right? You can set up probabilities with your trades and manage your risk, but we are still in a pretty strong upward market, and the halving is also coming up as well. So that's the narrative. You also have all these big corporations that are buying whatever supply is still out there. So you've got lots of institutions that are buying this limited supply of Bitcoin. That has been the argument from the get-go. The supply of Bitcoin being limited has been its major selling point since its inception, right? There's only 24 million Bitcoin in existence ever. And look at how many people are in this world. And with the ability for you to buy partial Bitcoin, it would make sense that, we could see prices just continue to drive up over time. But really, I don't want to see Bitcoin go much further than 100 to 150, because if it does, then that probably means that things are not going well in the world, and that's not great either. Okay, I've been rambling on here for about 30 minutes. So this is your 30-minute episode weekly here on the S&P 500, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few alts. So if this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. If you need access to our Wavemaster indicator and all the other indicators that we provide with volume analysis and other tools for momentum channels and whatnot, you can find all of that information on BitDoctor.org. If you need access to our trades or education, and if you just access to me, if you need something, get onto our Discord. You can find information on how to access on bitdoctor.org, and also there is a link in the video description. But last but not least, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, and a great evening. Take care, everyone.